Hi there everybody and welcome to the new tutorial. This is a really simple tutorial and it is a very neat, very precise looking stitch which I love. I love anything that's really uniform and really neat. This is what I'm basically calling the railroad or the train track double crochet. So it is just a variation on a UK double crochet. However, it gives these beautiful, neat lines on either side. So it's a completely reversible pattern, but you get these lovely parallel lines that run along on each side. So it's a very tight and closed stitch. So it is really good for pot holders or for face scrubbies and anything like that really. But obviously you can also go all out and use it for a scarf or even a blanket. But just remember, this is UK double crochet, so it's a small stitch, so bear that in mind if you are thinking of doing some massive project with it, because it is a slow growing stitch. But it's very uniform, very neat, and you get a very slight bit of texture. So it's not like when you work in the back loops, because working in back loops creates ridges, whereas this just creates very subtle parallel line stitches across the top of your work. And using this tutorial you will also create beautifully neat edges as well. So let's just crack on. It is a pattern that can be used with absolutely any yarn, any size hook. I'm just using some leftover cotton and a 4mm hook, but as I say, you can use absolutely anything that you like. So this is an extremely easy pattern, and we're simply going to start with your slip knot on your hook, and you're going to chain the width of your project. So there's no set multiple that this needs to be, it can literally be any amount of stitches, and remember this is going to be the width. So you'll yarn over and pull through, 2, 3, 4. So you just continue to chain until your project is as wide as you require. Okay, so I've created my chain now. I've just done a chain of 30 purely for the purpose of the tutorial, and we're now going to work our way back along. So you just want to do a row of UK doubles now back along. So remember, if you're in the US, then this will be your single crochet. So you want to start in the second chain from the hook. So you've got 1, and this is the second. So you'll insert your hook into that second chain, yarn over and pull up, yarn over and pull through both. So that is our very first stitch, and if you want to, you can pop a little stitch marker into that stitch now, so that when we work back along later you will know exactly where your very final stitch should go. Again, insert your hook into the next stitch along, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and you're just going to do 1 UK double into every single stitch all the way along. And that is where I will meet you in just a second. You also want to make sure you work into that very last chain just before your slip knot, and you should have your row complete like so. And then we're going to turn our work around. And I personally like to work through the whole of the stitch for the very first stitch and the very last stitch. I just find it gives a slightly more robust finish to your project. So we've turned, and then into this very first stitch here where you can see we've got our working end, you're going to insert your hook through that stitch. Make sure you go through the whole of it and get the V on the top, yarn over and pull up, and yarn over, pull through both. So that is, as I say, our very first stitch, and that will keep your edges nice and straight as well. And we're now going to work all the way along, but if I just turn my work slightly, you can see we've got all of these lovely V's all the way along, and we're going to be working into the front loop. So like you say, we've got the V, and this is your front loop just here. So the other side is the back loop, and this one is the front. So we're going to insert our hook, again only through the front loop, so you should only get one loop on your hook. Yarn over and pull up and complete your double. And the next one, insert your hook, but again, like I say, only the front loop on every single stitch. And you're going to do that all the way along. So into every single stitch, you will go through the front loop only and work a double crochet. And then I will meet you again as you get towards the end of your row, and we will finish off and start the next row together. So if at the beginning you popped a little stitch marker in, it should be really nice and easy for you to see now where your final stitch needs to go. However, if you didn't, then your final stitch should be relatively easy to see, because you should still have the V on the top. But as I say, I like to work through the whole of the stitch for the very final stitch and the very first stitch. That is what I will do. So I will do my one final double crochet through the whole of that stitch. And this is now how you should be looking from one side, but you will see when we turn it over, you get that nice beginning of the little train track, as I like to call it. So again, now we will turn around, and in exactly the same way as we did for the other row. So this row now is your row repeat, so it is very simple. So you will insert your hook through the whole of that first stitch again, yarn over and pull up and complete your double. And I forgot to say it in the last row, but if you pop a stitch marker now through that stitch that you've just created, and then again, it just helps if you're still getting to grips with keeping your edges straight and things, it just firms up exactly where you need that final stitch to go when we work back along for the next row. So you just pop a stitch marker in that stitch that you've just made. Okay, so now in exactly the same way as the last row, we are going to do one double crochet into every single stitch all the way along, but only in the front loop once again. So again, insert your hook through the front loop only, complete your double, and you'll do that all the way along. So I will meet you one final time at the end of this row. So again, if you'd popped your stitch marker in, then you will know exactly where your final stitch goes. And as always, I'm working through the whole of the final stitch and complete your double. So there, now we have got another row done, and again on the other side we will be starting to get the other train track. So the pattern is completely reversible, but that is the complete pattern repeat. So it's a really nice simple pattern, and I really hope that you've enjoyed this one, and please remember to subscribe if you don't already. But I will see you for another tutorial very soon. Bye for now.